The beginning of the end. Chapter 1. The first flicker. It began with the smell. Micah Harper had been skating down a quiet suburban street in Torrance, California, earbuds in, sun high and hot, when the stench made him stop. The air, usually sweet with ocean wind and smog, now carried a hint of rot, thick and metallic like spoiled meat. He tugged his earbuds out. At first it was just that smell. But within seconds, sirens wailed in the distance, fire trucks, police, even military Humvees growling like beasts up the 405. The sound wasn't unusual in LA, but this time it didn't fade. It grew. Micah looked toward the skyline. Pillars of smoke rose beyond downtown. Something was very, very wrong. His phone buzzed. A news alert lit up the screen. Breaking. Unrest and violence reported in downtown LA. Public urge to remain indoors. He swiped 4 more. Videos filled his feed. Chaos in the streets. People screaming, bleeding, biting. Man, this has to be a prank, Micah muttered, heart racing. But the panic in the footage was too real, too raw. Then came the sound he'd never forget, a guttural, unearthly moan that echoed from the alley behind the liquor store. Slow, dragging footsteps. A wet cough. He turned. A man staggered out, barefoot, shirt soaked in blood, one eye dangling loosely from its socket. Skin gray, teeth red. He didn't look drunk or high. He looked dead. Micah backed away slowly. The man growled low and lunged. Micah ran. Chapter 2. Radio silence. 2 days later, Los Angeles was unrecognizable. Micah had holed up in his apartment with his cousin Deshaun, barricading the door with a bookshelf and an old fridge. They'd watched the news fall apart. First the local channels, then national broadcasts, and finally the emergency signals. Static was now the only thing on TV. The infected were everywhere. The military had tried to quarantine major cities, but containment had failed. Airports closed. Power grids flickered. No one knew where it started. Some said it was a mutated strain of rabies. Others blamed bioweapons, or even a failed cancer cure. The truth didn't matter. All that mattered now was survival. They rationed canned food, listened for helicopters that never came, and tried not to look outside. The streets were filled with horror. Every night they heard screams, then silence. Screams, then silence. On the third night, the banging came. At first it was soft, a hand against the door, then more a dozen fists. Deshaun looked through the peephole. "Good God," he whispered. "They're here. Back," Micah hissed. The infected began slamming into the door, snarling, moaning, hungry. The barricade groaned. They had to go. Chapter 3. Blood on the pavement. They escaped down the fire escape with only a backpack of supplies and Mika's skateboard. The streets were hell. Palm trees burned. Cars sat abandoned with doors flung open, horns blaring, blood smeared on the windows. The scent of death was thick. Packs of the infected wandered aimlessly, some missing limbs, others with gaping wounds that didn't slow them down. One man had his intestines dragging behind him like a leash. Micah and Deshaun ducked into alleys and underpasses, hearts pounding, every shadow a threat. The infected weren't fast, not at first, but they were relentless, and they listened for sound. "Where are we going?" Deshaun hissed. "There's a guy in Redondo," Micah said. "Ex-military. My dad used to fish with him. Said he had a bunker. If anyone's still alive, it's him. You sure?" Micah wasn't, but it was hope. Hope was a currency now. Chapter 4. The Marina Massacre. They reached the marina by nightfall. Seagulls wheeled overhead, confused by the silence. The ocean looked the same, endless and dark, but the land was a nightmare. Dozens of boats had been turned into floating shelters. They snuck past an overturned Coast Guard vessel. Blood painted the docks. That's when they heard the crying. A girl, maybe 10, sat by the water, shivering barefoot. Alone, Micah knelt beside her. "Are you okay?" She shook her head. "They got my dad." Sean was uneasy. "We shouldn't stay here, man." But before Micah could respond, the water exploded. A half-submerged corpse lunged from the bay, dragging itself up with seaweed-cloaked limbs. Out. More emerged behind it. They'd fallen into the water and kept walking. They didn't drown. They're in the ocean now, Deshawn whispered in horror. They grabbed the girl and ran, weaving through the docks as the infected chased them. One slipped and fell into a fishing net, snarling like a dog. Another caught Deshawn's arm, tearing flesh. "Go!" he shouted. "No, man," Micah screamed. But Deshawn pushed him away. "Get her out. Don't stop." Micah ran, didn't look back. Chapter 5. Alone again. They made it to a service tunnel near Hermosa Beach. The girl, Lily, barely spoke. She cried herself to sleep in Micah's jacket, curled up beside a pile of old surfboards and moldy beach towels. Micah sat awake, knife in hand, eyes on the rusted door. He kept hearing Deshawn's voice. That final shout, the pain in it. He was alone now. The world was ash and blood. He missed the things he never appreciated: greasy fast food, traffic jams, dumb TikTok trends. He'd give anything to hear his mom complain about bills one more time. Morning came gray and cold. A fog rolled in thick. The power grid had gone down completely. Gas stations were bone dry. No more ambulances. No more government. Only whispers. Micah stared out at the empty coast, the Pacific stretching into nothing. A line of infected wandered the beach, dragging chains and seaweed. One seagull pecked at a skull. Somewhere in the distance, a single church bell rang. Chapter 6. The Colony. Weeks passed. Micah and Lily traveled inland, avoiding cities, surviving off MREs, wild fruit, and what they could scavenge. The infected grew thinner in some areas. Burned-out towns where they'd de-starved or been gunned down by survivors. Then came the radio. It was an old ham unit Micah found in a garage. He fixed it using scraps and car batteries. One day it crackled, ... to all survivors. This is Bastion. Repeat, this is Bastion. Safe zone north of Temecula. Coordinates to follow. Micah recorded the message and replayed it 10 times. Bastion, a haven. It was 90 miles through desert and chaos. They left that night. Chapter 7. Dead Roads. They traveled under cover of night. Lily had learned to shoot a crossbow. She never spoke of her dad. Micah had hardened too, more silent, more focused. The road to Bastion was long and deadly. They passed through Riverside, now a ghost city. Smoke rose from burned hospitals. An infected woman with a wedding dress hung from a freeway overpass, swaying in the wind. Her eyes followed them. One night, they met a man named Raul, ex-paramedic. He had a dog and stories of a cure in Mexico. Just rumors, Micah said. All we got are rumors, Raul replied. He came with them. Chapter 8. Bastion isn't real. They reached Bastion after 6 days. It was real. Fences, floodlights, armed guards. It looked like salvation, but Bastion had secrets. Micah quickly realized the truth. The infected weren't the only monsters left. Inside Bastion, control was absolute. The leader, Colonel Strake, ran the place like a dictator. Anyone who disobeyed orders disappeared. They're experimenting, Raul whispered one night. Trying to make them smarter, use them as weapons. Micah confronted Strake and was thrown into isolation. That night, the infected breached the outer wall. Someone had let them in. Chapter 9. Firestorm. Bastion fell in one night. Gunfire, screams, flames rising high into the desert sky. The infected tore through fences like paper. Micah escaped his cell with Lily and Raul, sprinting through burning fields and bodies. The dog didn't make it. Colonel Strake was torn apart in the chapel, surrounded by half-finished blueprints for a new virus strain. Raul was bitten. He smiled sadly. Keep her safe, Micah. You've got the heart for it. He blew himself up with a grenade to stop the horde. Micah? And Lily kept running. Chapter 10. Ashes and Dust. Now it's been 6 months. Southern California is a wasteland. Cities are husks. Forests are silent. The infected still roam, evolving, smarter, faster. Some hunt in packs now. They're learning. Micah and Lily survive by moving constantly. She calls him Dad now, even though he's only 22. He doesn't correct her. Every night they light a small fire, just enough to keep warm. Micah watches the stars and remembers skateboards and laughter. The world is gone, but a sliver of humanity remains in them. They're heading north, toward Oregon. Rumors say there's a fleet of ships on the coast. Real safe zones. But Mika's learned something important. There is no going back. There's only forward. One day at a time, in the land of ash and bones. Thank you for listening to this Trav TV broadcast. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button to hear more stories like this.